Hi everyone, this is me and I am here to take a look at this beautiful deck. This is the Mythical Creatures Tarot by the amazing Baba Studios. It just came in today and of course I'm very excited about it. I do love Baba Studio decks. I have the Bohemian Gothic, I have the Victorian Romantic, the Tarot of Prague, and of course one of my favorites is the Fairy Tale Tarot. So when I was so excited when they were talking about doing the Mythical Creatures Tarot, but then a friend of mine had purchased the first version, which is a line drawing, and please don't mistake it when I say this because the line drawings were absolutely gorgeous, but they just felt like they were a little bit busy, and I knew that they were planning on doing a colored version, and I really wanted the color version, so I didn't get that first version. And after a couple of my friends that had it were like they just didn't really use it too much, it felt a little bit too busy and liney, and just I don't know, it just didn't seem. So I was like, because Baba Studio decks are not cheap. Again, I think they're one of those things that are value for what you are purchasing, but they still are not cheap. My Baba Studio decks are the most expensive decks I've personally ever purchased. So I don't purchase them lightly, but so I was just kind of like, you know what, maybe I love the Fairy Tale Tarot. I don't know if that's what it's called. Anyways, I love that one so much. You know, I can be happy with that. But I don't know, somehow it just went in one ear and out the other, or I just missed it somehow that this was actually a pip deck. And then I was told on live chat by a couple people that the coloration actually really made a lot of the line work a lot more cohesive and didn't feel as busy. And again, the artwork is stunning with the line art. I would hang it on my wall in an instant, but in a compact tarot card, you know, maybe not so much for me personally. So then I took another look at it and realized that it was a pip deck, and I was like, oh, like it does make you cringe because you're like, that's a little bit pricey, but it's so gorgeous. So anyways, clearly I paid for it because here we are. So I did not get the guidebook for this. Karen Mahoney makes amazing guidebooks. I have loved every guidebook that I've looked at of hers. But I just am not a person who goes to guidebooks. I don't tend to use them. I'll read through them and things and I appreciate them, but I don't use them in practice. And so because Baba Studios are expensive, I was just like, you know what, that's something I can accept, that I'll just kind of shave that off the price. So I did not get the guidebook, even though I will say if you love guidebooks, Karen Mahoney's guidebooks are fantastic. So it was not because I wouldn't recommend her guidebooks at all. And I thought, well, I'll see what she gives me in the Little Right books. I'm pretty comfortable looking up things on mythical characters, so I can do that myself. I've spent a lifetime loving mythological characters, so I can figure it out. If I find that I'm having trouble, I can always order it. So that's kind of where I landed on that. Okay, so let's get into it. You can see I have the window open, which is providing a bit of shadow, so I do apologize. I might close it in a bit, but I did want to have like some good light for, you can see on the box itself there are that beautiful bits of gilding that they have kind of done this kind of cold processing. I don't know, you have to visit their site to see about it, but they've kind of perfected this beautiful art of cold stamping, I think is what it is. That's on the box itself. I love Baba Studio box. Truthfully, I think they are perfection. I struggle because I'm a big magnetic hinge closer being perfection, but Baba Studio boxes, they're compact, they are well made. They're just probably my favorite tarot boxes. They're beautiful and they're compact and they're well made. So what else do you want in a box? The back says the Mythical Creatures Tarot brings the symbolism and mythology of fantastic beings from around the world to a beautiful set of cards. Wide ranging, the images include dragons, unicorns, mermaids, and Melusines, as well as Banshee, the vampire, the fairy queen, and many more. Here we go. The deck is based on Tarot de Marseille with fully illustrated trumps, majors, and courts. The pips and minors are highly decorative, designed to be symbolic and evocative. They follow the classic suit meanings. It is also possible to use R.W. Smith, Rider-Waite-Smith established meanings in your readings with this deck. See the companion book for more details. Includes clear instruction booklet. This is the watercolored edition. I did notice that. I looked at the little guidebook and just to see if she addresses the, and well, we're going to look at that in a minute. I'm skipping. I'm excited. Like, this is Christmas. This is not like an everyday deck kind of coming in the mail for me. This is like Christmas mail. Okay. So this is obviously the Fool card here, which is stunning and lets you know you are in for a treat. Okay, opening the box back up. It comes with a, stapled little white book, but I will say I quite like what they have packed in here. This is where I should shut the window for this part, but I'm going to just try to maybe brighten this up post-production because we're not going to stay here too long. So what they're giving you for each of the cards is the Hierophant, the Centaur, so the name of the traditional tarot card with the mythical creature, if there is one. Then there is a section that is about that particular creature. So centaurs are impressive creatures who are half human, half horse. Some developed extraordinary wisdom, none more so than the centaur Chiron, who was a master of medicine, astronomy, music, archery, and prophecy, a philosopher, teacher, and spiritual guide, the wisest of all centaurs. And then it gives you the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, the Tarot de Marseille meanings, as well as specific mythical creature meanings. So if you wanted to read this more based off of the creature, then you would be able to do so. So I quite liked that. And that is also in the court cards, because the courts obviously have creatures. Now in the minors, the numbered cards, you just have the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Tarot de Marseille reading meanings, because there aren't mythical creatures in there. So that makes sense. So I was really pleased with this for a very small little white book. It has it uses them all, so it has 40 pages. I feel like it gives you at least something to lean into on the mythical creatures, and gives you options for reading either Marseille style or Rider-Waite-Smith. So I thought that they did a good job with that. Not surprising, again, the expectation is high with Baba Studios decks. So we of course have the, I don't know, I might shut the curtain. I don't know if this is actually helping too much. So let me shut it and see if this is going to be, oh, I don't know. I kind of liked it better with it open. Okay. Sorry folks, sorry folks. Let's leave it open. Okay, so here we have the mythical creatures. This is just the card, but again, you can see that cold stamped process. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it's cold stamped, but there again, I'll put a link to their website and they talk about it. The back is gorgeous. Like, this is probably one of my favorite backs ever. I mean, I have a lot of favorite backs, but this is high. It's got like Green Man on the back. It's that beautiful, I don't know if this is technically foil stamped on the back or not, but it's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. I love it. So if that's just your can't talk today. Apparently I'm really excited. And look at the, okay, can we just talk about how that actually goes really well together? You have that same creamy, it's a little bit paler on the sides with the cut paper, but it really does go quite well. This is not a deck that I will be edging. Okay, let's see, can we get in a little bit closer even? Sure we can. Sure we can. Okay, so here we have the Fool. Again, it's beautiful. It's very earthy toned. I love all of the greenery around him. Oh, there's a spreads in here too. Sorry, I was pulling this up and there is a spread in there. I didn't really expect that. A Pegasus wing spread. Okay, sorry, going back here. So the Fool is called the Amadan Moor or the Amadan Duv. I think it's an Irish. I'm sure I'm slaughtering the probably Gaelic. But this is the Dark Fool or the Black Fool or the Fairy Fool, which is a trickster, one of the underworld Sidhe of Ireland. Just for an example, Rider-Waite-Smith, they have you know, just going for it, stepping confidently into the unknown, throwing caution to the wind, a leap of faith. Whereas in the Tarot de Marseille meanings, they have spontaneous innocence, playing the fool, unpredictable times, carefree engagement, free of responsibility. So they're not, in this case, there's not a big difference between those two meanings, but they do give them there. Look at this magician. I adore this magician. So this is the Magus. Magi were originally Zoroastrian priests, at first in ancient Persia, then throughout the Persian Empire. I think this is gorgeous. It's a person who makes things happen in terms of if you use the mythological creature. Meaning it's just like, this is a person who makes things happen. I mean, come on, that's like amazing. And I think it's a gorgeous card. And I wish that you could really see, I mean, the detail that is in this dress or skirt or robe, I guess it's probably a robe, is, I don't know if that is even going to be focused, but the detail in this deck is stunning. The borders, at least so far in the majors, are all the same. They have sort of creatures kind of up here, almost like a griffin-y, snaky creature. It's got wings, it has a tail. We have a little mask up here, all in kind of greenery all along the edges. And of course the scroll on the bottom. It's just beautiful, but the detail, I think, is just, look at that, just, it's stunning, really is stunning. Here we have the beautiful High Priestess with a Sphinx, which is of course perfect for the High Priestess. The Riddler, Puzzles and Challenges, the Guardian of Secret Knowledge. Again, absolutely stunning. I love the book there. I love the hourglass even. It almost looks like there's a key in the book. I don't know if that is a key, but it looks like a key, and it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. Again, if you can see the... So it's not like a high shine, which is what I do love about this type of gilding, is I have problems with the way my lights are to things that are really gilded, and this doesn't give that problem. It's just beautiful. Here we have the Empress as the Fairy Queen. Beautiful but dangerous being who rules over the dead and the fairies of the hill, which I think is, we have, it's interesting with the Fairy Queen here, you do have both that sort of mix of almost a Persephone feel, where you have that reminder that it is a ruler in creation, creativity and creation in both the physical world and the underworld. So I kind of like that nuance that is there. She is beautiful, but she is not to be, never forget that you are in the presence of a fairy queen. And I do think that's pretty cool. It almost looks like, no, I don't think it is. I thought for a minute maybe these on the chair or on her throne were bones, but I don't think it is. I love the Minotaur for the Emperor. Definitely that really strong, masculine, very solid, you know, feeling, very Taurus-y feel about, and with the number 4 for the Emperor, I think that that's really gorgeous to have here. There is that sense of controlled power, which I think goes quite well with the Emperor. For the Hierophant, as we talked about, we have the Centaur, and more specifically having this idea of Chiron being here, who was that wise teacher. So I think that that works so gorgeous for the, I'm not convinced. Let me just do this one more time, folks. One more. Nope. You're like, stop, stop. It's what it's going to be. Alexa, turn on Office.
Okay.
I just feel like there's something a little bit missing in the lighting, but it's what it is supposed to be. Okay, so Centaur, perfect. In the Lover's card, we have like the little mermaid, right? The mermaid and her lover. There's so many stories of this in the different mythologies, and so I do think it's beautiful. But what I really love is that it does emphasize the idea of choice, because the Little Mermaid, the Lover's card for me is about choice, and there is a choice needing to be made on both of their sides, and so I do think that that is a gorgeous representation for the Lover's card. Love it! Poseidon for the Chariot. I mean, this is my birth card. I don't always love my birth cards, but I do love Poseidon here. There is that sense of power. There is that ruler over and confident rider over the moving waves, and this elemental horses just are full of movement. So there is that sense of real confidence and sort of moving yourself forward by sheer force of will. For the Strength card here, now they have Strength in the position of 8 versus the Marseille position of 11. However, it isn't numbered. So I'm actually a fan. I can't talk today. I'm actually a fan. Now, what's interesting is that in the book, it's in the order of Marseille, so the Justice card is here, but in the ordering that's here, they have Strength. But again, I'm a fan of not having it numbered, so, you know, however you tend to read that, it's open for you to be able to do that. But the book has it, or the little guidebook anyways, has Strength at 11, the traditional way. In the ordering, it has it in the Rider-Waite-Smith way. So the Strength card is the white cockerel, symbolizes the martyr and Christian belief. I've not, to be honest, I've never heard of the white cockerel in terms of Christian belief or mythology, so that's a new one for me, which makes me happy, because I mean, I do feel like I've just loved mythology my whole life, and so things don't tend to surprise me too much, and so it's kind of cool to have that. As symbol for someone who will die for their faith, it is a powerful manifestation of strength. Strength of will, strength of belief, and courage of convictions. The mythological creature meaning would be pure of heart and courageous, someone who can win by sheer willpower, a victory maybe against what seems like overwhelming forces. Now, I feel bad for the poor lion, who's normally much revered in the Strength card, is obviously being this is more like a Marseille Force card, though, where it is much more that idea of strength, and they were very clearly generally fighting the lion versus, you know, the more modern sense where we have lots of beautiful women hugging the lion, right? So it does kind of move into that boundary space of the more traditional decks. This makes me thrilled. I love, even though it's a hoarding dragon. Now, I love dragons, but beyond all things, I do believe in magic. And I do believe in, let me get my phone and turn it off. I do believe in dragons, have existed at one time, and I'm hoping still exist hidden away somewhere in the center of the earth. So having a dragon makes me happy. And I love it as the hermit because they are that sense of being, that idea of retreat. I don't see them as always greedy and hoarding their hoard, although for me the hoard signifies the wisdom that they are hoarding, and that works really well in the Hermit card. So very excited to have that. This is so beautiful. Again, Wheel of Fortune's one of those cards that I don't generally love. It's not that I always hate them, but they just never always stand out to me as like, oh wow, that's awesome. That's gorgeous. Of course, we have the Norns here. I think it's almost a no-brainer, I suppose, but I am still thrilled by it. And they're, you know, they're seated at the Tree of Life, and you know, it just is perfect. It's perfect for the Wheel of Fortune, and is a beautiful image. I love this Justice card. Justice card is my astrological card. I've been looking through a book that goes through all these your different cards and numbers and things, and I always knew that. I mean, the Queen of Swords and Justice were my astrological cards, but I just love being a Libra. I love Justice, and the Harpy is so gorgeous here. Now, we think of harpies as being much more scary looking and even gross and scary looking, but they talk about here that original harpies were largely positive figures in the early Greek mythologies. Hesiod called them lovely-haired women, half bird, half women, envoys of the gods. Their task was to capture oath breakers and bring them to the Furies, the goddesses of vengeance, for punishment. So they were in a much more justice capacity. I feel like they down the road became a much more derogative look towards the poor harpies. But I think this is stunning, and I love it. This is gorgeous. Here we have the Hanged Man, which is called the Mandrake. The mandrake root arguably has more folklore attached to it than any other plant. Because it root branches into shapes that look like a small human, it was reputed sentient, but asleep or in a deep trance in the earth. When harvested, it would come violently to life and scream so piercingly it would kill anyone who heard it. How awesome is that? Oh, I love that. That's a gorgeous image. Sorry, I am just staring at the image. We have a basilisk for death, which I think is wonderful. It is, as they say, a very feared creature. It could kill with a look. It's a hybrid between a rooster and a serpent. And so I think that was really fantastic to be able to use. And again, it's a gorgeous picture or image. I love the blues that we see here. I mean, these are just gorgeous images. For temperance, this is a rebus. This means dual or double matter, and it's actually the culmination of the alchemical process. If you go through like the processes of the alchemical, they're trying to create gold out of iron, the alchemical process. It is a successful fusion of the sun and the moon, male and female, light and dark, which is really gorgeous for the temperance card. Love it. This was one of the things I was so loved, the devil card as a vampire. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I love that it says here, the character of the vampire is so popular today that it seems redundant to describe it. Nevertheless, it's important to remember that originally vampires were not mysterious, sexy creatures looking for redemption. This is so true. But soulless undead predators who prey on vulnerable people and suck them dry. Like, remember, folks, if you see a vampire in an alleyway, don't assume it's a vampire of the movies, right? So I think that's really gorgeous for the devil card, because there is that idea of temptation and the lure there that is going to put you in a very bad situation. The Kraken for the tower. I love this. I love this gold ship. I know I shouldn't be picking these up, but I think you get the picture that these are really gorgeous. Look at the detail in this ship. That is so stunning. And it is that sort of, just as that feeling of getting struck by lightning. If you're just floating along and all of a sudden this Kraken rises up and grabs you and pulls you into the depths of the sea, right? There is definitely a tower feel about the Kraken energy. This just makes me happy. Then we have the beautiful star card, and I love this with a unicorn. I know I sometimes like, ooh, you know, unicorns aren't my thing in terms of like rainbow bright unicorns, because I think of unicorns as very powerful, very rare, very this sense of you are stepping into something that is so rare and so precious and so powerful. And I feel like that gets lost in the Rainbow Bright. Again, many people love the rainbow connection to unicorns, but I find them to kind of lessen how I feel about unicorns. And so I think this is absolutely stunning, and I think it works gorgeous as the, oh, look at this. I mean, come on! Come on! You know, this is me and the Bohemian Gothic. They just do amazing work at Baba Studios. Werewolf for the moon. Shape-shifting werewolf rivals the vampire in its popularity. Again, like the vampire, the figure has evolved from being a savage creature of prey to a symbol of all that is wild, untamed, and dangerously seductive. This idea of having those two natures, this light and shadow that's very much there, this shape-shifting energy of the moon, I think it's gorgeous, and the image is stunning. Firebird for the sun. Yes, please. No naked babies. We do have the knot with the sunflower that is there. This is a creature of Slavic folklore, also known as the Tsar Pizza, maybe? Pizza? I'm not sure how to pronounce that correctly. I do not have a Slavic tongue, so to speak. But this is a subject of many tales, and it is said to emit strong flame-like light, and a single one of its feathers from its tail can illuminate a whole room. So that's perfect for the sun card. Judgment, however, is the phoenix, which is, of course, perfect, dying in the nest of flames, and it is reborn from its own ashes at regular intervals. Dramatic, complete transformation. Perfection. Okay, that brings us to the world, and the world is another card that sometimes, you know, I don't dislike the world card, but it's not always my favorite depictions. I think this is really beautiful. I love sort of you still have that like green laurel wreath, but it is a dragon instead, or a boar is kind of eating its tail, which I think is pretty powerful. I love the creatures here in the corners, which I think is gorgeous as well. It's the beginning, it's the end, it's the alpha, it's the mega, it's everything in completion. I love the knotwork feel in the middle of it. It's just really gorgeous. You know, I think you can say that about every single one of these cards. They are just simply gorgeous. Okay. That brings us to the numbers. I'm more excited. No, I'm not. I was very excited about these, but I am excited about the pips because they are the proof. We remind ourselves, folks, that Pips cards are not non-illustrated. They are not scenic necessarily, but they are illustrated, and these are stunningly illustrated. So we can see, I'm going to go ahead and pull the aces real quick. I used to do this all the time and got out of the habit of it. But let's take a look, because look at what's going to happen to these borders. So the borders are going to change. Here we have, oh, look at the bottoms of the board. Okay, so let's pause to just, you know, acknowledge the stunning aspect of these borders. Oh, okay. Let's pause here. I hope these will zoom in correctly. So in the aces, we have these drakes. These don't have almost lizardy, almost dinosaur-y looking creatures. And then at the bottom we have these like beautiful berries and things. It's so hard to really capture this. So that we have in all of the wands, and it's got a red tones to it. We have turquoisey tones in the cups. Look at that Ace of Cups. Come on. But look to the bottom. Do you see that? That is stunning. That is like little shells laying there. And then of course we have probably like you know, Loch Ness monster-y kind of looking sea serpents at the top. But the color tone is a very gorgeous turquoise, which is beautiful. The Ace of Swords has more of a pale blue, and it looks like it has angel, winged, beautiful lady winged creatures at the top. The bottoms, just kind of beautiful scroll work at the bottoms. But it has more of a pale blue, and of course we do have some yellows in there and golds, which we have in all of them. But that is the swords. And then the earth suit, we have what looks like lion-esque creatures, maybe chimeras, up at the top with berries and things at the sorry, I'm talking about them while just kind of looking at them before I bring them up. And like, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Look at that. Like, there is nothing non-illustrated about that. It's just not a scene. Folks, that is, look at those aces. Probably some of my favorite. I love aces in decks, and these are definitely probably my favorites. We do have sort of ram's horned centaur creatures on here. We have some beautiful birds here. We have a mermaid in the Ace of Cups, and again we have sort of fire drakes. These definitely have wings. Fire drakes in the Ace of Wands. So we definitely have little creatures that are in each of the aces as well. I don't know if they mention them. I'm just going to look here real quick. The ace, yeah, so the aces, minors don't mention any mythological creatures, but they do. They are here in these aces. So stunning. So beautiful. Okay, aces. So now we're going to look through here, and of course I'm not going to spend a ton of time. They're just beautiful, and they all have the same borders for their suits, and they are, you know, Marseille shaped here, but different things are going on. Like, these look like more like really cool lizardy, fiery newts of some kind, right? That's going on here. And we have our 2 wands. We have our 3 of wands, almost like interesting little creatures. They almost feel like creepy cocoons, or something's going to come out of that cocoon, but they're gorgeous. We have the beautiful crossed 4s. Again, a little bit more of a dragon-esque type heads here. In the 5s, definitely kind of leading that dragon-y feel. Very detailed. If you look at the actual, sorry, that's not focusing. If you look at the actual wands, there's so much beauty. I mean, they're just stunning. Stunning. 6. I love the cross hatching, you know, Marseille style, which is just so beautiful. on the 7s. I also like that they are straight, obviously. Well, we'll look at the swords to see if the swords are straight or curved. I actually liked curved swords. I think these are probably straight. But these are very clearly wands, very clearly red energy. You're not going to wonder whether you have a sword or a wand in this type of a Marseille deck. So it doesn't matter really as much. Gorgeous, stunning 9. Leading to the gorgeous culmination, almost chameleon-like fire chameleon in the 10. So beautiful. This brings us to, now we do have creatures in our court cards. Let me pull up our court cards here. The Page of Wands is, of course, the actual salamander here. And they even do add, for the court cards, they do add the specific mythological creature meaning. So again, you have the Rider-Waite, you talks about the salamander, talks about the Rider-Waite Smith, the Marseille, and then the mythical creature meaning in the courts. So we have our salamander, we have the chimera actually here. A thing of immortal make, not human, lion fronted and snake behind, a goat in the middle, and snorting out the breath of the terrible flame of bright fire. Oh, love it. And then we have the Queen of Wands, which I think is stunning, is a dragon. In this case, it is a Chinese dragon. Unlike the European counterparts, dragons in China are benevolent and bring many benefits. Of course, they are also huge, strong, and fiery, so they can still be dangerous, as I think we should never think the Queen of Wands could not be. Beautiful. And then we have an Efrit, or Efreet, or Freet. It's basically, I would say, a jinn from Arabian and Persian lore. Immensely powerful, and can be good or bad according to their natures. Love it. That brings us to the Two of Cups. We can see water creatures here. The gorgeous 3. Now, the 3 they give you 2. This was like an extra card, which they do sometimes in Baba Studios. So you have the traditional Marseille, and then you have one that would be 3 mermaids. Far more, you know, a Rider-Waite Smith 3 mermaids. I, of course, am not going to put this in there because none of the other cards are that way, and that would drive me nuts. But I think it is gorgeous, and I do think it's wonderful to have those kinds of little extra cards, because you might want that little touch of things in the court or in the minors, and if so, there you go. But that is a gorgeous 3 of Cups. Love the 4 of Cups here. Love the growth still coming out. One of the things I love about cups in Marseille is all the growth around them. The 5, the 6, you can see like seahorses, faces growing out of things. It does feel very mythological. Now see, we do have 2 sort of mermaids in the 7, but they're just part of that, just like the rest have like creatures and things in them on the side. So they have that. Really cool 8 of Cups with the watery mask, the 9 of Cups, and culminating in the 10 of Cups. For the Page of Cups, we have the Naiad, which are water spirits or water sprites or water fae creatures that you might have. We have a sea serpent for the knights. Again, look at the ship. I love it. The knights do have a very powerful feel to them, which I really love to see. We have Melusine, which is a mermaid with 2 tails. Is one of the most famous and powerful of all fairy folk of European lore. She can be found in the mythology of the southwest and northern France, and also of southern Germany, and is said to be of great beauty and majesty. That is a stunning, stunning picture. And then for the King of Cups, we have the Voyagenoise, oh, I cannot say this, Vaginoise, something like that. I will show you here. This is in Eastern Slavic mythology. They are male water spirits that are referred to as grandfather or forefather, perhaps a reference to our long ago water origins. They are depicted as covered in algae and with a frog-like face and usually webbed feet. Further west in Czech, Sloven, and Slavic folklore, he is called a vodnik and looks more like a small green man wearing a quirky cap. So you see, even though it's a tiny write-up, right, you do get quite a lot of information, and certainly points you in the direction to go in. And again, she does, I'm sure, have an amazing guidebook. So here we have the Two of Swords, moving to my suits, the swords. I love this. Three of Swords, winged creatures. Beautiful, beautiful Four of Swords. 5, stunning. I mean, what are you supposed to say? 6, more stunning. You know, we're going from less small to a large number, and it just increases in gorgeousness. 8, butterfly faces. Get a bit of sadness looking in this Nine of Swords. Most of these things have been neutral. That does have a kind of sad feel to it. Then we have the beautiful Ten of Swords. Page of Swords is gorgeous. You know, obviously with the wings, which is really beautiful. This is a sylph, which would be like an air spirit. You would see this like in The Tempest with Ariel, which I think I saw she mentions. Yes, it brings up that as well. So it's that free-spirited, beautiful. It's just gorgeously done. Pegasus, love it for the night. That's perfect, I think, for the night of air. I love the owls around it as well. Ooh, Queen of Swords is the Banshee. She's a little scary, although let me just say, in all fairness, I love the crows here. Banshees are not necessarily evil. They are just grief. You know, they're wailing in grief, and so they have seen as being a warning of death in Irish tales, right? But it's not necessarily that she's cruel. She's just a spirit of grief. She can certainly be dangerous, but all fae can be dangerous. So I'm good with this. Is she a beautiful Queen of Swords? No, but she really represents that idea of gaining power through grief or gaining power through difficulties. That certainly works with the Queen of Swords. Oof, I love that King of Swords. Hello, Mr. Griffin. That's gorgeous. Love it. Very solid feeling for an air creature. And we're choosing the beautiful coins. With Marseille style decks, I am a big fan of the coin suits. I just love to see what they do with the coins. So here we have the Two of Coins. I wish the coins were a little bit bigger, but I mean, that is literally nothing. Love the pomegranates here. 4, lots of kind of earth spirits and trolley-like feelings to them, which I quite like. Like you're seeing like rock trolls and things like that, which feels very earthy. 5, 6, a little bit different energy there. Let's see my 7s. Thank you, thank you. I prefer my 7s in pip styles to have 4+3. It doesn't have to be, but I do love it. So it's always like a bonus, like, yes, thank you very much. 8, very solid feeling with the structure that it's building. The 9, which is, of course, gorgeous. And the 10 gives almost like a family tree feel to it with all the faces in there, which is kind of cool. Of course, we would have to, you know, I've always said I'm not a huge fan of like garden gnomes and stuff, but this is more of a dwarf. Let's see, Page of Coins. Yes, the dwarf. In German mythology, the dwarf is a small human-like creature associated with wisdom, mining, and smithing. Of course, you do have dwarfs in many cultures, but yes, that is just gorgeous. Well, not gorgeous, but cool, I should say. The satire for the Knight of Coins. Original Greek art and literature, the satyr was a creature with horse-like tail, ears, and genitals. But the Romans conflated him with their god Faunus, giving him goat-like attributes, horns, legs, feet, and goat-like erection, and turned him into a sensualist, enjoying all good things of earth. So it's kind of like going over how, and this is what's so wonderful about mythologies, is they do shift and permeate, and there's different variations depending on the cultures and the way that those cultures interacted and shifted the stories, and so it's really kind of cool to see that. Beautiful. I mean, I absolutely, she's probably one of my favorite Queen of Coins. Love it. She's a tree. She is like she's a dryad that's like literally, her roots are in the earth. It's just gorgeous. And I saw this, I love that there is a giant for the King of Coins. I mean, how much better can you get than that? He is the most solid, heavy, substantial creature, earthy creature, and it's perfect for the King of Swords. Okay, let's scroll out here. Oh, love it. Nothing that I don't love about it. It's so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Okay, let's do a shuffle here. I think I might have these kind of whopper jawed, but let's. Baba Studio cardstock is stunning. Let me just say that. I mean, it shuffles gorgeously. It riffles like a dream. It is not thick cardstock in terms of thickness, but it is so beautiful. It's just really hard to explain it. I'm sure they have explanations of what their cardstock is on their website, but it is something really well done. It's a thin card's thin is in terms of it's not that thick weight that you can't bend, but that doesn't equate cheaper or less than. Just because something is thick doesn't mean it's better than something that's thin. They're just different types of cardstock. And Baba Studio cardstock to me is just, especially as someone who riffle shuffles, it's just beautifully done. And it is, you know, it's just, you know, like I said, Baba Studio decks are expensive, and there are many people who are going to say I would, you know, I would not spend that for a deck, and that is perfectly reasonable. We all have our lines in the sand, right, of like, okay, I'm just not going to do it. And I'm kind of that way, but for Baba Studio, I guess because I just know that you're getting what you're paying for, I will make some exceptions there, but I feel like you got what you pay for. In a Baba Studio deck. And I am not sponsored by Baba Studio. I just, you know, I don't buy all their decks. I buy the ones that are just like this. I just, you know, there's not going to be another deck quite like this, which is a lot of their decks, right? But when it comes to fairy tales and mythology, you know, now I have mythological creatures and the fairy tale deck. It's like perfect companions. Okay, it shuffles gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Love this. Okay, I'm just going to lay out my sort of Celtic cross, my version of a large reading, which I've, you know, done a billion times, just so we can see it. I do want to take a look at the Pegasus spread, although I don't know that it would fit on here. Straight in the center. Past, the future, fire, air, water, and earth. And then my aboves and below, sometimes it's the as above, so below. Sometimes it's a do and a don't do. Sometimes it's sort of a guidance message and what's at the foundation. It really depends on the question at hand as to how I assign those two things. Those kind of interchange for me in this reading. How beautiful is that? I mean, oh. Okay, let's see. What else? What else? Holy goodness. Right? Holy goodness. that's what this feels like. It feels like a holy goodness deck. I'm not going to go through each of the meanings of the Pegasus card reading because I think that's the only one that they have here. So obviously I don't want to just like give away her spread. But she does have a Pegasus wing spread. And so I don't know if we're going to be able to fit this on or not. Let's just see. We do have a bit of a room and it's stacked. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's start to the top 4 because then we can, yeah, we got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, now I put them the wrong way. Oh, the werewolf showed up. Hello, werewolf. Hello. And then it has the 8th card in the middle, which, let's see what the 8th card stands for. 1 through 8. Oh, I don't know if they have actually positions, to be honest. Oh, Caitlin Matthews designed it, the spread, which I love. Consider your issue. Note which card has fallen in position 4. Ah, so you're looking like the head of the Pegasus, of course, the wings of the Pegasus. Yeah, so she gives a whole sort of way, so they kind of say to leave this down, and so she gives ways to interconnect these different cards, almost like when doing like a Lenormand reading or something like that, which I really like. I'm definitely going to try this reading and then turn over and read the card 8, which is the gift that the Pegasus brings you, and of course that then connects with the 4th card as well. Really cool. I'm definitely going to give that a try. It's not just like positions, this position is that, but sort of way in which these are interacting. But look at how gorgeous it is, folks. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about it because it is a beauty and I have nothing negative to say. It's just gorgeous, other than, you know, the damage to one's wallet. It definitely was something I stopped and thought, oh, okay, are you gonna do this? But you know, I'm not disappointed whatsoever. So I hope you enjoyed this and I will talk to you all later.